Good morning, sir. Oh, can you hear me okay? All right, welcome to the morning vibe. Make sure that the sound is working okay. My name is Ryan Knight. I want to make sure that our friends on Facebook know that we are live.
Yes, we are live. How's it going? Hey, what's going on, Ryan?
Going great. Good to see you, sir. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Got to spoil the missus for Mother's Day.
Yeah, well, before we go any further, we got to tell us what we're doing here. It's the Morning Vibe. I'm Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of epic conversations, and the home of epic conversations. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, the host of the only online conversation in the world for dads and fathers. That's sponsored by Dove Men Care and Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And I am also the executive director, not executive, I am the board chair. Don't want to be the executive director of the Global Food and Drink Initiative. It's a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, wine, and travel. And Ryan, yourself?
Yes, for those that do not know me, Ryan Knight, co-founder of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network, an entity that we created to support entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage to make sure that we can figure out what stage they're in now and how we can help them grow and achieve their goals. We used to do a lot of info sessions and networking events, and now we've shifted to capacity building. So making sure that all of our entrepreneurs are at the right baseline to be investment ready. So anytime they need capital to grow and scale their companies, they're able to access it. So happy to be here this morning. It's a bright, shining day. I love it.
Yeah, but there's something different. No shirt and tie this morning. Oh my goodness.
I'm actually repping our co-working space, Empowered for X. We're in one of our, satellite locations, the one by Pearson Airport, the Black Business Development Hub that Isaac Oluwalafe built. So it's within Dream Suites. So upstairs, hotel suites, downstairs, offices, and commercial kitchen where the Gospel Cafe is actually running out of. So excited to have Colin and his team here cooking us some good food. I know I shouldn't be eating mac and oxtail every day, but when you smell it, you can't help it. Oh, and speaking of which,
my goodness,
By Blacks launched their restaurant week. I believe it's today is the first day.
Today is the first day, yes. And we had the opportunity, I had the opportunity, Ryan wasn't available that morning, just 2 Fridays ago to interview Roger Dundas, who is co-founder of By Blacks, him and his wife Camille, who By Blacks, by the way, is the most viewed African Canadian or Black Canadian website in the world. And they're doing a restaurant week. And interesting enough, I'm going to be part of an Instagram takeover that By Blacks is doing tomorrow. So I think it's around 6:30 to 6 or 6:30 tomorrow. I will be hosting or on By Blacks Instagram channel feed, and I'll be interviewing one of the participating restaurants during this restaurant week event. And also I'm creating a bridge between By Blacks and actually the most prominent online Black magazine in North America that features chefs, people in food, and people in food, hotel, and travel. There's a potential collaboration coming down there also. So we're looking forward to that. Excited to be humbled to be hosting on another person's platform. That's big things to be get that opportunity. So yeah, it's restaurant week, and yesterday was good. There was always many events going on. Also, the Minister of Economic, Social Development, and Children, is it ESDC?
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Economic, Social, and Children. All these acronyms going on. He was, he was on Keep Six, a not-for-profit organization that does helps re-entry of people who are ex-incarcerated.
Yes.
And
I would say coming out of detention.
Yes.
rolling.
Yes, make it easier.
Yes.
He was on their platform. He was on for almost an hour.
Okay, so the over under, we lost our money on that.
Yeah, he was on. He was on
That's
for an hour,
excellent.
and
Yes.
a number of different people were asking him questions, and I listened to most of it. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, like, what? Because I know you always talk about where's the action? Where's the action?
Well,
Don't give me the fluff. Did anything intrigue you as they were
well,
talking?
I have to give kudos to the minister that he is doing, like, going on a number of different platforms, because that's not the only platform he's been on
Right.
live, sharing the government's proposals. I use the word
True.
proposals in regards
Yes.
to wanting to help Black / African Canadians. He did, one of the things he did mention was housing, and I know that's one of your
Yes.
things. He did get into that, and he said that even though it's not his jurisdiction, he's going to fight to get as much as possible proper representation or proper help for Black Canadians in that area. So that was, that was something that did stick out, that did come up.
And a big thing around housing that I realized we were missing in action, the community as a whole, is because a lot of times when politicians or different community groups are talking about housing, it's only about how do we get people into housing. And we seem to miss that we have the capacity to build houses. So when we started working with CMHC, which is the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, they have a file of over $26 billion, part of their national housing strategy. And most of that money is designed to help developers build the actual housing. And so developers such as Isaac Ololafe, Septon Spence, I believe Stephen Callahan, but he was from, no, Calendar, sorry, that was part of ACCA. And we had Amari on last week on Friday talking about the Afro-Canadian Contractors Association. So we now have a body that's curating all the talent that can build. And there's a pool of money that is supposed to go to these people to build. So now our engagement with CMHC is to walk us through the path, get organizations like ACCA and ACBN, get us familiar and or build our capacity to understand the process, so that when a developer is able to build, I think the minimum is 5 housing units, affordable housing units. And again, they're doing projects up to 900 plus units, and everywhere in between, we can now walk them through the process to get the funding to be able to develop the housing. And CMHC has programs that can actually cover 95% of the costs. So you could have a project that you own the land and you want to build on it. You could work with CMHC to get 95% of it covered with their own funding. Like that, to me, it's amazing how much money is available to build. So
yeah, we won't spend too long on this, because periodically we'll talk about these subjects or these concerns or opportunities. Yet the money is available. It's when are we going to get it? So, but it's not only when we get, but also too, I think, to understanding the process. First of all, it's just understanding the process, then getting the applications in, and then hopefully getting approved.
Right. But then that's where working with their office, as long as we check all the boxes, there's really no it's not a competitive bid where grants you're going up against, let's say 200 people that are going for 10 grants. With CMHC, it's any developer that can check all the boxes would get the money to at least start the research, and then you get the money for the construction. So they said they can process funds within a month. So now, if we figure out the process, and this Wednesday at 2:30, we're actually doing our second session with CMHC about their seed funding. So the initial criteria that you need is ownership or control of the land. So if you have ownership or control, you can now go after seed funding to cover the cost of doing the environmental assessments, doing the blueprinting and architecture, all these things that you have to get done before you start to build. You can actually get funding to cover that. So if you hey, if you're a landowner or if you're a developer, be sure to be there this Wednesday. I'll send out the information as we're sharing the morning vibe. But this is important because exactly like you said, Dr. Vibe, when is the money again? And that's the question that we asked on the first session. Okay, you're telling us about these programs, but what's the timelines? And when she said 2 to 4 weeks, I paused because I was like, hold on. If we figure this out, we can have money into developers' hands within a month. That to me is true action. And again, it's changing the conversation from just, oh, we're going to help create subsidies for people to get housing. We can now say, listen, we are going to build you a complex. We're going to build you an apartment and get you access into there. That's something that we built ourselves.
Okay. We're gonna change up the conversation topic a little bit before we go to break, and probably continue a little bit after the break. But we were chatting before we went live this morning that I was doing some reflecting over the last little bit, and I think most of the challenges, or a lot of the challenges in the Black environment, and I know people are saying, why don't you say Black community? Because personally, I don't believe there's a Black community. I think there's an environment.
Working on that.
Yes. Yeah, well, I think there's just a lot of neighborhoods.
Yes.
Not all circle back to economics. Like, I think
100%.
It all cycles back, this is Dr. Vibe's thought alone, but we don't live in a democracy. We live in a capitalistic system. And I think, and I mean, ownership is so important, because I know in the United States, it's really, really low, but I'd like to know what percentage of Canada's wealth is owned by Black Canadians.
Oh, man. Well, Dr. Claude Anderson says in the US, it's less than 1%. I wouldn't expect it to be any different in Canada. And again, that's where, like, the housing conversation, we ACBN are focused on economics. So when you're talking to us about an issue in the community, we always try to figure out, okay, what is that economics topic that we can work on and get revenue into the community? And when you're talking about now everything tying back to economics, you can see any of the, and we call them pillars, as I kind of try to keep things simple, where it's like, hey, economics, education, health, justice, and social. Those 5 pillars in the community are things that different organizations are working on. If that economics pillar is as strong as possible, it can then support the other pillars, because now and you realize that anything that all those community organizations are trying to get money from is derived from economics.
They don't got the money.
It's the income tax that goes into the Canadian government that now we're getting grants from. It's the philanthropic, typically the corporations that create arms or foundations that are now giving out these grants. So if we create our own Black tax and say, listen, if you're part of this community that is not formed yet, but we are forming it, and you're spending money, like you're already spending money on things, if you spent it more on Black businesses that create those things, those Black businesses would be able to grow, become foundations, and be able to give more money to other institutions or the other pillars that need it. It all could, I feel like economics can solve a lot of the issues that we are having if we got that right. And again, getting that right is a really big deal. And I know Dr. Wilson Amos talked a lot about the amount of money that's spent by Blacks in the Black community. And when he was speaking, and this was like before the 90s, it was like 5 cents. And it's like, if we just got that 5 cents to 10 cents, the shift that you would see, because all Black businesses now would have doubled their income, metaphorically speaking. Like, it wouldn't be a direct correlation, but now that 5 cents to 10 cents really is nominal. Like, you could find things that you're buying now and say, okay, you know what? Instead of going to Walmart, I'm going to buy it here. And then he's like, what if we shifted that to 20 cents? 25, 50 cents of every dollar we're spending in our community. But he started with, could we do 5 cents? Could we purposefully spend our money in our community? And you will see, because when businesses that you're spending more money with, they have to now grow and hire more people, it just creates a ripple effect that a grant does not cause. Like a grant does not allow you to scale your company. But if I know I have 2 times as many customers, my company is a completely different company if I double. So doing that in the community, I think, is gonna be a real game changer.
That's, and we have some people watching live and also people in the replay. We want to ask you, like, is economics the solution for a lot of Blacks' challenges? We'd like to get your input on that, because I think if you look at it, money doesn't solve everything, but it solves a lot of things.
Well, because even we commissioned the Black Empowerment Manifesto, and it talks about 15 recommendations, and it ranges from like those 5 pillars that I was talking about. But a big piece was around procurement. And the government already spends billions, if not trillions of dollars in our country on various things that they buy. And again, to answer or to kind of ask the question again that you were asking before, how much of that spending, let's say $1 trillion, is spent on Black businesses? And it would, I would fathom to guess it's less than 1%. And it's probably like a percent of a percent. And so now, if you got that to 1%, if you got that to 5%, if you got that to 10%, 10% of $1 trillion, that is a dynamic shift in our economy, in our Black economy. Like just having 10% of $1 trillion now spent in the Black community completely changes how we talk to our children, because we can talk to our children and say, this industry just expanded tenfold. They need you. They need you to learn about what they need. And now, like, there's jobs waiting for you. And we had Andrew Brownfield come on and talk about technology and cybersecurity. There's a total gap in hiring for cybersecurity, people that are versed in it. And again, it's things that you can learn now, or things that don't even exist yet that you can start getting familiar with, that job is going to need you. So when you understand you want to get into cybersecurity and just understand it, again, Amari was on and talking about the trades. There's a mega labor gap in the trades, and construction isn't only about like laying cement or laying bricks. There's so many different layers to construction that they need people to learn and get into.
There's number of different sectors just inside. People just see the end product.
Yes.
They don't realize that there's a whole infrastructure that needs to keep that end product going. So we're going to take a break, but before we take a break, I'm going to say some shout outs here. Got Divine Wright tuning in from the DC area. Also, we have Christopher Lawrence. I think he's our most loyal live viewer all the time. Christopher, thank you so much for your support. And we're having a brief conversation about, is economics a solution to a lot of Black people's challenges? And we're saying, yeah, it probably is. It is. So we're going to take a break, and we're back after the little break we take. Take care.
Hi, my name is Ryan Oneil Knight, the founder of Detailing Knights and one of the founding members of ACBN Canada. Our vision is to help unite and educate Afrocentric entrepreneurs so they can grow their businesses in a successful and sustainable way. We're helping businesses increase their sales and operations by providing networking, training, and consulting. So as a business owner myself, I found it difficult to find like-minded individuals, especially in my own community, that were doing things on a regular basis to help our businesses grow. ACBN Canada is that solution. We've created this community to surround your business with support to help you increase your sales and your profits. With expert workshops and masterminds to help keep you accountable, come and join us and really get to the next level.
Boom. I think we're back. Oh, and again, with ACBN, we want to make sure that the economics is where we focus. So when you're talking about all the different areas of the Black community, especially justice, health, education, I feel if we get this economics thing right, we can definitely solve a lot of problems. But I was just posting in one of the groups and somebody responded so quickly. They're like, economics is just one piece. We have to fix social and children's CAS.
And you know what? And I don't disagree with that comment, but it all goes back to the economics, because if you don't have the money to fix it, fixing it for you don't have the ability to fix it.
And then that's what that
those are the symptoms of the economics challenge, right? Because and I think with that person, if our economics was right, it would probably reduce the challenges in those symptoms.
And imagine what you could create, because now we're beholden to CAS, and CAS has all the issues that CAS has. If we had enough money in our community, we could create our own response to like children's issues. Like, why do we have to rely on this CAS when we can create our own children's services? I've seen other cultures do this, where when a teacher is calling home about a student that's having issues, they don't call directly to the parent. They call this organization that says, okay, we're going to come in, we're going to see if we can work with the child. And then that organization talks with the parent. So parents aren't having to leave work and come deal with their child. The child isn't being taken away and going to CAS because they haven't called CAS yet. They've called the organization first to see if they can figure this out. With our community, they're calling CAS right away. And then the parents are like trying to fight and get their children back. These are things that it takes money to now create. And if we don't have that economics, we can't even create a response like that.
Here's a comment from Ryan Wright from the DC area saying, I agree, especially with investing into Black businesses. There is more than enough money. They have all those loans out there, but we are in debt enough. We need more grants and investing opportunities.
Well, the investing piece is so huge, because that's where you get scale. Like patient capital, people that are investing in wanting to see your company 10x and really 100x. Like, you don't get venture capital money and them thinking that you're just gonna kind of be able to feed your family and keep at that kind of plateau. They want to see you exponentially grow. So when you're getting investment ready, that's another piece of funding that a lot of the Black community is missing on. And the statistics show, I think it was less than 3% of Black founders get funded. And so if you funded more Black businesses with patient capital, because yes, like Divine was saying, if we're only getting loans and we're only getting debt that is just like you have to pay back within 5 years, or even less. A lot of us are funding, and I was one of them, funding our business through payday loans and trying to just survive and going down that spiral. And it was like, when you're able to get out of payday loans and into patient capital, where now there really is no timeline to pay back. They want to see that company grow and get to another seed round so that they get their money back there, or take your company public. How many Black businesses are even on the track to go public? And I'm not even saying how many are public, how many are on the track to go public? And the only way they can do that is through patient capital.
Yeah, I think it's a circle. And it was, I was speaking with someone on Saturday, won't give their name, and I said, you know what? But when it comes to the grants and all that process, that old term that it has to be blown up. It has to be blown up. It like from the government end and also from a number of the organization, it has to be totally blown up, because I think, just again, my thought process, my opinion, that grant system is a mess. It is an absolute mess. And unfortunately, there are some organizations that are worthy that are not getting. Many people come to me and say, the same organizations are getting money over and over and over again. Also, there has to be some area of a collaboration. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in the Black environment. We cannot always just place the blame on the government. They're not 100% to blame. I feel, again, my opinion, that the Black environment has to, as I told this person, it's like the old, like when in government, in politics, when two countries meet each other and they go into a lockup and they don't come out until they have an agreement.
Right. Yes. And somebody even said that about boardrooms, because a lot of times there'll be things that we're talking about as a Black community, but we're talking about it in public, where we should be bringing it to a boardroom. And like you said, you get a solution done in that board. And again, you can have fights and you can argue and pound the table, but we're coming to a consensus by the end of that meeting. And then when we come out, it's a unified voice. We're not in the street, in papers and on the radio, trashing each other that we can't agree on certain things. We should be able to take care of that in-house and have those arguments, have those debates, and then come to an agreement and we move with one message. But unfortunately, it's not happening that way. And I think you just put up a collaboration. Christopher Lawrence was talking. Like, that to me is what we need to focus on. And again, I would say focusing on collaboration around economics first. How do we partner with businesses that are doing the same thing in order to help them get bigger contracts? How do we just have strategic alliances? Again, it doesn't. Every time we bring up the word partnership, people are like, oh, but I used to work with a man and he dissed me, and like everybody has a story about how somebody did them wrong, and they use that to just completely blanket statement. Jamaicans or Trinidadians, whoever wronged them in the Black community, now they don't work with anybody in the Black community. But we have to get past that somehow. And again, it won't happen all at once, but
Divine Right is saying, I'm all about investments too. Down here in the US, grants come and go, and sometimes they disappear altogether. I'm all for growth and investing.
And that's where we've seen organizations close their doors because the funder changed their mind about a grant. Like, they were so reliant on getting these grants that as soon as the funders shifted their focus, and I believe it went from housing to youth, and it was like those housing organizations lost all their money, and they had to let them go.
Of course they would, because obviously if you're putting your money into something, what you're putting your money in and what it's changed. Many of us have to learn we can't play checkers, we need to play chess.
Yes. And again,
right?
ourselves.
We have to play. We are not making the rules, unfortunately, again, because we don't have our economics to where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we have to play by those rules until we can make our own rules.
And that's where only economics will get us there. Because, and again, I'm biased. Our organization is focused on economics. But if we want to start creating our own rules, and to me, that's where true power comes from. Power doesn't come from asking for grants or asking for investments from external bodies. If we had our own entities that were able to give grants, or our own entities that were able to invest, that is true Black empowerment. And it takes building economics to get to that point. Like, who are we going to get grants from within our community? Who are we going to get investments from within our community? And again, there's certain organizations and VC firms that are coming up. I think Bay Mills was one that just started. Isaac has Dream Ventures, and there's another one by Brian Duarte that's starting. So they're popping up.
Brian, I know that name sounds familiar.
Oh yeah, I know he's in like the green space, green tech. He's an engineer.
Okay, we have to talk offline. I know that name. I know that name. I've actually interviewed him, but that's another conversation. We'll have to talk about. I know.
Get him back on, because he's starting a venture capital firm.
Okay, we'll chat about this. Divine Right saying exactly. I work for a couple of nonprofits that had to either lay off half the staff or close because the grants went away or shifted focus.
It's so heart-wrenching, because there was an organization in the US that dealt with people getting them their first vehicle. So my company, Detailing Nights, we were going to engage with them, just following along. And really, I was interested on their process. And then to hear that they lost their funding and had to close, and they were helping like thousands of people. It wasn't like they were a small operation and they got, like a few hundred. They were working on $1 million plus budget. And then to hear that they had to close, getting the emails, and I'm like, what is one, how come the community couldn't save? And of course, the community just can't come up with $1 million. But it was just you felt so powerless hearing that this organization had to close. And again, you don't get all the facts and understand like who the funder was at XYZ, but you just have to accept the news. Like you really had nothing that you could do to say, oh, you know what? I have $1 million that I can put into this organization. But even as a businessman, the million wouldn't be a grant. It would be, okay, I need to invest. And then how am I going to get that money back? They wouldn't be able to answer those questions.
Return on investment,
right?
ROI.
And they wouldn't be in position to answer those questions. So now I see the federal government wanting to invest into social enterprises. And I know as a nonprofit, a social enterprise is revenue generating. So that's the shift that nonprofits have to start thinking about as well, too.
Christopher Lawrence is saying, can we create a collective organizing table? I think we can if we can get the egos out of the way.
Right. Yes. Well, Emmanuel from NABC, and I apologize what the full acronym stands for, but they had put out that letter.
Yeah, National Association of Black Communities, I believe that's the name of the organization.
Yes, Emmanuel Mills. And I feel like that organization is in position because they got that letter and signed by 240 plus organizations to say, okay, what exactly like Christopher is mentioning, what does that collective organizing table look like? And they are in perfect position to say, you 240 organizations that signed this letter, there needs to be some sort of meeting, or we need to figure out how are we going to move forward as one unit. Because I know the ask in that letter was $2 billion, and the government came back with $200 million endowment. That is the far cry from $2 billion. So now, as a unit, how as a community are we going to talk about, okay, what the government did propose, and now what is the next step going forward? Again, I'm not at those tables. That I feel like that is higher level than
yeah. But again, to me, my main concern there is the egos, because people say, "Oh, how much of this money am I going to get?" If I don't get it, the bad talk is going to start. Yes. I just want to shout out here, Dr. Tachi. Dr. Tachi runs and hosts probably the best program online that covers media, tech, and pop culture. Wow. Haven't had a chance to promote it lately because her and I have not been on the same platform for a while. It's called Mediascope, on Wednesdays at 5:00 on Instagram Live, and it may be, I don't know. She doesn't do the warm up on what am I thinking of? What's the name? Clubhouse, but that she does, and then she does the full out version on Clubhouse, WJMS Radio, YouTube Live, LinkedIn Live, and Facebook Live. I hope I got everything right there, Dr. Tachi. I haven't had a chance to share about it, but so if you want all roads, media, tech, and pop culture lead to Dr. Tachi. So Dr. Tachi, I hope I got it right. Haven't had a chance to share about it. And that's another interesting thing. We can switch gears and we'll come back to that conversation, folks. And also always provide your input, like our economics. Like, Dr. Tachi goes, you got it. Yay.
Sweet.
Our economics, the foundational challenge to everything that many Black people are going to. Oh, and of course, Divine Right and Dr. Tachi are sorors. They're from the same sorority. And then on Thursdays, Mediascope does a show for Bahamas.
Solid. What? I gotta check that out.
Dr. Tachi, you may want to get Dr. Tachi on to talk about media through your organizations. But just flipping the switch here, people, Clubhouse. Just a little interesting thing about Clubhouse. Don't know for people, it's been a pretty in the news a lot, especially in the social media area over the last few months. It's a social media voice app was doing very well. The number of downloads have gone down because I think in the month of February, they had 10 million downloads, that app.
Holy smokes.
Now, recently it's gone down to 900,000. And at the time it was just an iOS application, but now it is available in Android.
Okay, so I'll
only in the United States right now. Only in the United States.
I'll have to drop my VPN and send myself to the US. So it's only
available in the on Android in the United States right now. Yes. But if you are interested in that app and you do have Android, go to the Google Play Store, download the app, and get on the waiting list. One thing, and we won't get too deeply into it, but if you already have it on iOS, when you download it to Android, you can't have two different devices running the app at the same time. So if you're on your iOS device and then you go onto your Android device, it will cut the connection on the iOS device.
Wow. So you'd have to have two separate logins.
You can't even. Yeah, you'd have to have two separate logins to be on both devices. So
gotcha.
That's some tech news that happened over the weekend. So we're gonna get actually, and there's one more thing we're gonna share about today. I'm gonna share about. For those who don't know anything about me, or as I said in the front end, I'm very much a proponent of fatherhood and manhood. And this Wednesday and Thursday, I'm going to be, more than I thought. I thought it was only Canada's 4th National Fatherhood Conference, side by side, celebrating the diversity of fatherhood. Originally, I was reached out to do a presentation. I was doing a session on Black fatherhood. And a few things. First of all, now I not only have to do a session on Black father, I'm hosting a dad's panel to close the event. And I'm also moderating 3 panels over the 2 days.
Nice.
So when I was approached to do the Black fatherhood presentation, I said, 90 minutes? Do people want to be looking at this and listening to this for 90 minutes? I don't think so.
Okay.
So I made a proposal to the person who's running the conference, and I said, hey, why don't I do this? Why don't I record a roundtable conversation with 3 Black fathers? And the lady said, quote, I'm getting goosebumps, unquote. I did the recording earlier last week with
nice.
Black fathers. I won't give their names, but Ryan knows 2 of them. I won't say live. And another, I know all 3 of them. One very, very well. The other one somewhat well. And the other one I've been helping with his challenges with fatherhood over the last few years. And it was amazing. The first question I did ask the 3 gentlemen was, how has how has growing up with your father impacted each one of them? And each one of them said that one of the common things they had, other than being Black fathers and being Black men, etc., is each one of them had lost their father in the last 5 years. Right there,
yes,
that was a huge conversation piece right there. And the conversation went on for an hour. It could have went longer. And I said, good. I don't only have to chat for half an hour.
Yes.
But no, and the reason why
it brings more value.
Well, not only that, and no offense to our American friends, but most of the information that you will see online pertains to Black fatherhood in the United States. There isn't a lot of data or on Black Canadian fatherhood. So it's really good to get a Black Canadian fatherhood perspective from 3 men in different stages in their journey. So I told the men if I got their permission, I'd release the conversation publicly. So I'm going to come back and see if they want to do that, because it's an incredible conversation. Actually, the youngest gentleman, because of COVID, he's in a little custody challenge right now. He has not seen his son for a year.
Ooh.
So that's a whole other conversation piece.
Yeah, that's wild.
So there is like the website address at the bottom there. I just wanted to plug that. If anyone is interested, or if you want to get more information, you can contact me directly. And that's going to take up most of my week.
Excellent. And then as people are going to the site, so tickets for the conference are still open?
Yes, still open. And if you have financial challenges, they may be able to offer a discounted rate for the conference. They have a lot of good speakers, and it's a full 2 days online on Wednesday and Thursday this week. So I will not be doing anything live until maybe not even the rest of outside of the conference. That's the only thing I'm doing live stream this week. Everything else is not till next week. And that's it. So Christopher Lawrence, you're saying nice job, Dr. Vibe. Thank you so much, Chris. Nice job for showing up. So anything else going on? What's the rest of your week looking like, Ryan?
It's more just application deadlines. So helping people get some applications in.
What deadlines are coming up right now?
Well, they're not due this week, but we're getting them in this week. So
Good.
Ontario Trillium Foundation has a grant for nonprofits.
Yeah, and that was extended
Yes.
to
So it
June
was
1st.
initially May 7th, but so we had everything done. So this week we're just going to get it in. And then Factor Live, we're putting in a grant for an artist so that they can do some live events. We're excited about that. And even just for
There's a
Wednesday.
lady. Do you know about the group, the music organization called? Oh, what's it? I had her name and I can't. I can't remember
Oh, no.
her name. But there's she's in my community. Can't remember. But there's just in
Part
the
of a
last
group
year.
or a singer?
There's an organization that has just come together over the last year or so to represent Blacks in the music industry.
Oh,
Can't
not
remember.
the content
I'll remember.
creators.
I'll
Cheryl?
remember
Shirley?
Kezia Myers. Kezia
Okay.
Myers. Okay, folks, we're going to do this live because I'm one of these people that if I
Yes.
I need to do these things in real time, and if I don't do it in
Yes.
real time, I'll probably forget. But there's an organization. That's an organization you should be reaching out to.
Okay,
Let me just
solid.
find it quickly.
And so
funny.
while you're looking that up, on Wednesday, we're doing another grant writing session. So if you still want to learn more about, again, we do this
Advanced music.
research. Advanced music. Okay, solid.
Advanced, yeah, advocate for the music, strategic thinking, music lover, entertainment professional. Yeah, she is. Yeah, has probably a 15, 20-year career in the music industry, worked for different labels in North America.
Excellent.
You should we can talk offline that you may want to get in touch with her in regards
I would love
to
that.
she knows all the things. She worked for Factor for a lot of years. She knows a lot about the insides and outsides of music industries, and also a good friend with Vivian Barclay, who is the only, well, up until Craig Mannix, she was the most senior person in the Canadian music industry. She is the head of Warner Music in Canada.
What? Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's the head. Vivian, I haven't seen Vivian for years, but she is the head of Warner Music in Canada. But you may also want to reach out to Craig Mannix and also Cardinal Official, because Craig Mannix is now a director at Universal Music. And I know that Cardinal Official has some posts
similar
in
position as well, right? Like a VP of.
Yeah, so you may want to be knocking on those people's doors.
Okay. Hey, more than open to. Looking forward to that.
So, any other things other than grants and grinding? I should call you the GG man, grants and grinding man.
Yeah, and just Wednesday. So people that own or control land and want to build affordable housing, CMHC Wednesday at 2:30 is going to do a session about seed funding. So helping you do all the research and pre-development work, you can get funding for it. So touch base if that is of interest.
Well, and there one last comment, and we all know about the whole area of gentrification. And yes, Christopher, yes, thank you. Have a good week, Dr. Vibe. Ryan, you have a good week also. We will be back on Friday, and I can share my fatherhood conference journey.
Yes.
That gentrification, the foundation of gentrification is land. And if Black people owned land, we could say, no, you can't build here, or charge an arm and a leg for people who want to buy that land.
Like you said, the foundation is right there. You have the economics again. We have to own. So yeah, that's a big shift.
All right. So we're out of here. We could ramble on, as you can tell, for about 2 hours, but we have one or two things to do, and you folks are probably bored with us live anyways, and on the replay. Yes. But we will be back on Friday. Everyone have an outstanding week. Want to thank Christopher, Dr. Tachi, Divine Wright, everyone who's watched us live or on the replay. If we didn't say hello to you, it's either you're watching us on the replay or I didn't remember your name, or you didn't give your name, and that's it. So we'll be back on Friday. Everyone, as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And I think Oh, and remember to give yourselves grace.
Yes.
That's important, especially these days. So we'll see you on Friday. Be well and keep the faith.